Hey, good to see everybody. John, well done. So I used to do a show on Fox Business. I'm just jumping in. Used to do a show on Fox Business, and John was on all the time. He's awesome, so thank you.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think he mixed up transportation and treasury there because he covers the treasury department so much.
Besson doesn't mind. Besson doesn't mind. You did,
John. So
the economic guys, you can't get him to stop thinking treasury.
So, Mr. Secretary, first off, really want to thank you for doing this, and also want to give a special shout out as well to a couple of our other sponsors, One Brief and Lighthouse. So thank you guys. Mr. Secretary, obviously this is a huge day for transportation news. So again, we appreciate you taking the time to break this down with us. But you guys announced yesterday, and this has started to go into effect today, 4% reductions today in flights across the country because of the ongoing government shutdown. That's going to scale up to 10% next week. Can you give us a breakdown of how, first off, why this is necessary, and then how these decisions were made and where and how this is going to impact people?
Yeah, so first off, air traffic controllers, a critical part of our aviation infrastructure, wonderful men and women who serve the American people. They do a great job. They have had one paycheck where they got a partial payment. The second paycheck was flat zero. They just got notice that the second full paycheck will be a big fat zero. That comes next week. And so there's been a lot of pressure on the controllers. And when that happens, I'm asking them to come to work. That's important they come to work. But some of them are new to the business. They don't have a nest egg that they've been able to plan for and prepare for. And if you don't get two paychecks, they're confronted with, like anybody else would be confronted with, how do I not just pay the rent, pay the car payment, but there's a gas bill, electric bill, there's a TV bill, there's food on the table, there's gas in the car, real life expenses that they're having to think through. And some of them have made the decision to not come to work but go take a second job. And what that has done is put a lot of pressure on the air traffic control system. And you've seen that play out over the course of the month with more delays and more cancellations. And by the way, it's not in the same place every day. One day it might be in LA, then it might be in New York, and then it's Houston or Dallas or Orlando. It's never the same place. And so we look at data. What is the data telling us today? And just as a side note, these two things are not related, but for the issue of data, we had a DCA air crash. And before that crash, there was information, had someone looked at the data, that there were near misses. And someone should have said, listen, stop the cross traffic. The data says, don't do it. Well, no one looked at the data. Well, we learned from that. We should look at data and what's happening. And so as we've done that through the FAA safety team, we're seeing loss of separation in the airspace. There's spacing for aircraft. There's been incursions in those separations. Those numbers have gone up. There's more incursions on the ground. And then we've had more complaints from pilots that have said, well, the controller is less responsive to me, or controllers seem to be more stressed. So we looked at that data, and the numbers are going in the wrong direction. This is a really long answer, but I want to explain.
No, please do.
The numbers are going in the wrong direction, and so then what is our response to that? And the response is to take pressure out of the system. And through the safety team, we've talked about lowering the number of flights. And so we were going to do 10% right away. The safety team said that could be even more disruptive. We should actually phase this in. To which we've done that. Today is the first day, 4% reduction. 4 days later, another 2%. 2 days after that, 2%, and then 2% on. And what I'm hoping to do is, again, take the pressure and more risk out of the system. We always try to manage the risk. Nothing is ever fully safe. A car's not safe. Walking down the street's not full. I mean, there's risk in everything we do. I'm trying to minimize the risk through this government shutdown. And bring us to a matrix that matches what we had before the shutdown. And I've had some complaints from Democrats. They've said, well, we want to see the data, and why are you looking at data? And this is political. This has not been political. We have worked overtime to make sure that we minimize the impact on the American people. We're trying to help the American people. And when I start to get attacked by Democrats, that also gets frustrating because there's a very easy solution to the problem that they put directly on my lap, which is open the damn government. Yeah. Vote to open the government. So those who snipe at me for having to take really unique action, they put that on my plate. So open it up. And by the way, did anyone remember some of the last shutdowns? I was part of those. We stayed here for a month. I gained 10 pounds, I think, because I ate pizza and the junkiest food. But you sit here every weekend, every day, while the government is shut down, and your family's upset, your kids are annoyed. That people would go home during a shutdown when the American people are suffering is just flat out wrong. Everyone should be here. Everyone should be working. No one should go home. Because, by the way, I saw today I was at DCA. Yeah. I'm letting you ask me questions. I'm sorry.
Sure. No,
I was at DCA. Yeah. There's people going to funerals. There's people who are trying to get home that can't get home. Why are senators going home? Keep them here. And especially the senators who voted no to open the government up.
Maybe we could put the senators who keep voting to shut the government down on the no-fly list.
That would be a great... Well played, yes.
So, Mr. Secretary, speaking of which, later today we're expecting the Senate to vote again on reopening the government. The Democrats are again expected to vote to keep the government shut down. So it means it's probably going to drag into next week. There's talk that the Senate Majority Leader, Senator Thune, will keep the Senate in for the weekend. But the point is that this isn't getting resolved today. This isn't getting resolved this weekend. So can you lay out for us what the long-term process here is? Because, okay, we know what's happening today. There's been 700 flights canceled, approximately, or maybe more than that around the country, and more coming, of course, next week as you scale up to that 10%. But it's not like you can just flick a light switch on once they open the government back up and they magically have a deal in Washington. I would imagine that it's going to take a little bit of time to get this alleviated as well.
Right. So we'll look at the data, look at where the controllers are at, and then give the airlines time to bring those flights back in. And so it'll be a systemic, approach. But again, I want us to go in the right direction of bringing more planes in, not what I have to do now, which is take more planes out. Does that make sense? But like just one other. Yeah, we're like 2,000 air traffic controllers short. We're trying to bring in more controllers. We're trying to hire more controllers. I'm trying to tell young people who are really smart, they're bright. I'm like, this is a great job for you. This is a great career. And then you hear, well, actually, you can go a month and not get paid. It doesn't feel like you have a lot of respect by doing this really important job. And so we're up 20% of our students through the academy. This has a big impact on our ability to make up the difference in that shortage. It makes it harder for me. And long after everyone forgets about the shutdown, I'm going to deal with the consequences of trying to repair the system, which, by the way, I'm asked what did the last administration do to try to fix these problems? Not a lot. We're going to try to fix them. We're going to take on the hard problems.
Yeah, and I want to get more into the modernization efforts and what's needed to fix the air traffic controller system once the government's reopened. But also, what would your message be to, there's thousands of Americans whose flight plans and travel plans have been disrupted today. There will be tens of thousands over the course of the next several days into next week as this continues. What's your message to those people? What would you say to them?
I would say look at the votes in the Senate and see who voted to open the government and who voted to shut it down. And then I'd call those senators who voted to shut it down. And that's where the blame lies. And that's not for I understand there's true differences of opinion. And I'm okay with that. But this is not the system we have to address differences in opinion in the legislature. We have legislation, we have debates, and we have votes, and we have elections that set the number of people we have in each party in each body. If you lost an election, you can't just stomp your feet and pound your fists and say, I want to get my way by holding the American people hostage. We don't do it that way. And so I think Democrats have to come to their senses and maybe leverage a vote, maybe leverage a debate, but to give something up to open the government up, I think would be a mistake on the Republicans' part.
Now, also, we have the holidays looming. Thanksgiving is just a few weeks away. Christmas right around the corner after that. Is your hope that this is resolved by then?